Gentlemen, welcome to the Framework Podcast. This podcast, I help you navigate the four foundational pillars of life, which are faith, family, fitness, and finance. And out of those four, that encompasses our lives entirely. So I do thank you for joining me today on the very first Framework Podcast. I'm your host, Jockson Morales, and we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. Today's topic, we're going to cover or go over the importance of self-accountability. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because it's just starting a new year, 2024 now. We set goals as men. We have a vision that we want to cast. So we set a goal, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 goals that we want to achieve this year. However, many of us fall short of that. And success is a fleeting thing when we don't hold ourselves accountable. So that's why I wanted to bring that up today. And I have 4 key ways that allows us to embrace the importance of self-accountability and help us to dominate this year. So again, thank you. This is the very first podcast out of many. That is one of my goals, to produce a podcast weekly. And I had promised myself that January 2nd, I will have one out. Now, barring any issues, I recorded this on the 1st of January. So if iTunes or Spotify takes a couple days to make sure everything's squared away before posting it, I apologize. That's on me. Had a bunch of issues with the podcast room and audio. So here I am in my gym, which is a shed outside, freezing. But I wanted to get this out because, again, I'm holding myself accountable to make sure I record this and get it out. So without further ado, the first of 4 is, and this is in no priority order, set clear goals and deadlines for each goal that you set. Now, for example, and if I'm looking down, I write notes for my podcast in my notebook. And this is important for me to stay on track and also make sure that the information I deliver is pretty much concise to the best of my ability. And excuse the background noise. Again, I am in an outer building on my property. So set clear goals and deadlines for each goal set. Now, I'll use myself as an example. I'm 47, 315 pounds, and I have a goal of losing 40 pounds by March 9th. That's the deadline. So my clear goal is lose 40 pounds. Not, I'm going to work out. I'll let these vehicles pass. It's funny because I don't live close to the road, so it is super noisy. At any rate, my goal is to lose 40 pounds. So I want to be 275 by March 9th. Now, that's pretty intense, but I don't think it's not doable. At any rate, my clear goal is lose the 40 pounds. So how I'm going to do that, that's where the clarity comes in. I need to watch what I eat. I need to exercise daily. And I need to make sure that I stick to my eating routine or develop my new routine so I can maintain it. And I think I can achieve 20 pounds a month and lose it. So us setting these clear goals and the deadline that we need it for, like for myself, I use one clear goal for this year. I'm going to do one clear goal per quarter. So 4 major goals that I want to achieve this year. I'm not going to put them out here. My first one is lose 40 pounds. And then once I reach that, the second goal comes into play. If the goals need to run hand in hand, so be it. I'm not here to tell you how to structure it. That's none of my business. I don't care. My point is how you're going to hold yourself accountable and explain to you in a manner that you can be like, oh yeah, I can do that. So gentlemen, I'm here to help. I do get excited sometimes and I get passionate about what I'm saying because I'm a pretty candid fellow. And I mean no disrespect. My aim is to help out as much as I can because at 47, I do have a lot of life experience. Growing up in Massachusetts, my parents were in the drug game, and that's the story or stories for other podcasts. But for now, this is where we're at. The clear goals and deadlines. I already told you mine. This fosters a sense of responsibility and commitment to achieving it by you taking ownership. And that's very important, because if it was an external goal, somebody set something for me, it's not as intrinsic as me deciding to do it myself. So ownership of your goal is important to hold yourself accountable. Number two, owning up to our mistakes. We're not perfect, gentlemen. As much as we try to be or think we are, we're just as fallible as the next human. So with that being said, when we do make these mistakes, and make no mistake about it, pun intended, we're going to make mistakes. Own up to them, right? What that is going to do is keep our mindset in a good place, because it humbles us, knowing that we're not perfect, right? Those that stand, be careful that they don't fall. However, it also helps in relationships with our spouses, helps in relationship with our children, our friends, our community, because we're being honest. And a man that's being honest is an integral man, somebody that has integrity. And that person cannot have integrity without having self-accountability. You see the trend here? So that's why self-accountability is very important for us as men, so that we can continue not only to achieve goals, but to better ourselves, become a better person in order to serve and help others. So accepting mistakes, it's important that we do that without making excuses. You won't believe how many men I encounter that everything's somebody else's fault. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Stupid bed. The bed's been there for years, bro. Or, I hit my head getting in the car. Stinking car. It was made like that. Like, you've been in and out of this car hundreds of thousands, maybe thousands of times. Like, my day, today I'm having a bad day. My wife said this. Come on, man. Seriously? I mean, if you're that fragile, you need to go to the kids section, because a man should not be that fragile. A boy maybe can be that fragile, because they're just learning. They're coming to. They're being raised to become young men and then full-grown men in order to be productive members of society. But I digress, right? That's a tantrum for another day. So, also accepting mistakes, there's valuable lessons to be learned. Fellas, if you're just making mistakes and you just brush it off and go to the next one and just brush it off and go to the next one and stumble, brush it off, go to the next one and stumble, you're going to keep repeating these mistakes. You have to kind of marinate on them. Let them sink in. What did I do wrong? Start picking them apart, right? And that leads to the next step. So I don't want to get too much into it right now, but also accepting mistakes, it allows you to gain respect from others, right? And again, those relationships are built stronger because we're not making ourselves bigger than we really are, right? And people can pick up on that. Man, that man is holding himself honest, or he has integrity. I appreciate that. We're easier to work with. We're easier to speak to. We're more approachable, and these are things that I had to work on myself. So don't think I'm sitting here, I got it all figured out, which I don't. I'm on the path, right? One of those 4 pillars is fitness. I'm working on me. I just told you I'm 315 pounds. So I'm making sure that I get that handled. So number 3, regular self-reflection and evaluation. Regular self-reflection and evaluation, right? The way that I achieved this is a couple months ago, before I started working out, I put the phone up and I had a very candid and open conversation, a one-way conversation with myself. And in that conversation, I spoke about how I feel about myself, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, what I can improve on that I know of. And then I didn't give myself like any pats on the back, right? Because the purpose of that conversation was for me to acknowledge that I'm a mess, right? And in order to start fixing myself, we all have to acknowledge our weaknesses. And we're at different stages. So it's important for us, you stand in front of the mirror, have that candid conversation with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. If you're fat, you're fat. And I can say that because I'm fat, right? If you're scrawny, you're scrawny. If you want to build muscle, you know what to do. Google it. YouTube. You're sitting here watching me. I appreciate it. But if you need help in other aspects, as in like immediate, go do some research. That'd be more beneficial than listening to me here. But come back. All right, I'm trying to build this channel, so do come back. At any rate, that conversation, I have it here, is a must for any man on the journey to self-mastery. And that's important because self-mastery is what we should all be chasing. It's something we're all aspiring to because it makes us a better man as a whole, right? We can provide for our families, for our friends, our communities by having that job or the side hustle or business that secures us financially so that we have an abundance to go ahead and provide for other people. Also, achieving self-mastery makes us a capable man, someone who people can depend on, someone who can help out when it's needed, someone who can lead when you have to, or follow when you have to, when you need to, right? So that self-mastery is not just being the best all the time running at 100. It's being the best you all the time, ready, at the ready. So keep that in mind, please. Also, this falls in line with the previous point of owning to our mistakes. Because if we self-reflect, we're like, man, I did this and this and this wrong. We can pick it apart and learn and try to see what next time we won't do so that we can continue to improve and on that path to self-mastery. So evaluating what worked and why it didn't work is another aspect of self-reflection and evaluation. If you do a bunch of things throughout the day, write a journal. Keep a journal. I do 4 things, right? My SAD list, my SAD list, is squared away day. The reason I call it my SAD list is the acronym, obviously, but I realize that if I don't complete those critical tasks, it's a sad day for me because I let myself down, holding myself accountable to what I put on paper. So, dude, like it can be something as simple as setting an alarm. If you told yourself, oh, tomorrow I'm waking up at 5 or 5:30 to work out before I gotta get ready for my day and go to work, don't hit the snooze button. Alarm goes off, wake up, get out of bed, right? It takes like 2-3 minutes for your mind to just get over the fact that it's groggy. And if it takes longer than that, go sink your face in some cold water. Like do what you have to get up and get going because you promised yourself that you would get up at 5:30. Whatever the alarm, my alarm currently set to 4:40 and I'm working it back because I want to get up at 4. So I'm working on that. And when my alarm goes off, I'm up. Doesn't matter. I went to bed at midnight, 4:40, I'm up. Now, I may be dragging cheeks for most of the morning, but after my workout, I feel pretty good. And so will you, right? It's a funny thing about this endorphins and serotonin, all these chemicals that start being released into your body once you've working out. And when you're done, you feel fantastic. I didn't crack the code, but that's just the way it is. So finally, 4, seek feedback or have an accountability partner. So feedback is a great tool to use because it allows, right, us. Now, I preface, I think it says, with, it has to be from a trusted source because if you're soliciting feedback by a source that could care less about you, it's not going to help you. But if the feedback you solicit is from a trusted source, then now they have a view from the outside looking in and can tell you, hey, oh yeah, this is where you faltered out, you messed this up, or you missed this, right? We're all gonna make mistakes. Also, an accountability partner, it's like an added bonus to the feedback you solicit because if I'm going to work out, I tell you right now, I get at it by myself in the gym. I know where I'm at and where I need to because in the military days, I was pretty fit. I played football in college. I was pretty fit. So working out, a workout program and training is not new to me. I just let myself go. It happens. Many of you probably got a beer gut. Many of you are just fat and flabby. That's fine. I'm not saying that's fine to the fact that stay that way. It is what it is, right? So now that you know, right, if you had that candid conversation with yourself, now you know I need to fix it. So fix it. That's what I'm working on now. So an accountability partner, right, which I was trying to get at. I come in here in the mornings, work out by myself, but, you know, it was like highs and lows, right? And I work out, I'm amped, I do it. Now my wife started joining me, right? She comes in a little later at 5 a.m., but she started joining me. You know, now I'm like, yeah, you know, you got something you can bounce stuff off, and she's doing her thing. We're in the same space. But you feel better because now she holds me accountable. So, you know, the night before she'll ask, "Are you working out tomorrow morning?" Yup. Right? Now I have to work out because she's counting on me. And vice versa. Now, recently, my son joined. Now he's working out with me. And my youngest son, dude, now I'm even more amped to come work out because there's a special thing when you work out with your son. Now, if you don't have kids, that's all right. You may. And if you don't want any, that's okay too, right? I'm speaking from my experience. When I'm in here with my son, working out together, like there's a bond that we create, and we continue to cultivate that bond through our workouts, and I love it. Same with my wife. When she's here doing her thing, man, I'm praising her. I'm making sure she's amped and she's okay, but she likes to do her own thing. That's fine. You know, I don't expect her to be picking up the barbell and start pumping iron. She likes to do her thing with her program, and it's working for her. I love it. That's great. However, I do seek the feedback of both because that's going to help me it's going to help come into light the things that I'll miss or take for granted. Maybe things I say brush people the wrong way. And my wife, she's like, hey, you know, maybe the situation could have been handled better. I solicit that feedback because it's going to make me a better person. And I need to be that. We all should aspire to be that better person. That goes right in line with self-mastery. So don't be afraid and don't take offense when someone that you trust comes at you and say, hey, you done jacked this up. That person loves you. So change that mindset because that person is looking out for you. Now, the person that's like, just letting you do your thing, doesn't really care, where's the love? You figure that out. What else would I have here? Okay, so about the accountability partners, they're just that, right? Picture this. You're working on a grind wheel, right? Let's say you're sharpening a blade. And you get distracted, and they come up behind you, they grab you by the scruff of your neck, and they hold your nose to that grind wheel, be like, refocus, man. That's awesome. Because he just helped you, right, from impending danger possibly, because if you're sharpening a blade, you're being distracted, you're not paying attention, it can cut your hand, finger off, whatever. But also, he just made you more efficient because he helped you focus, stay focused on the task, which means that you'll complete it sooner. The same with our goals. You have that accountability partner, and they hold you accountable, and they say, hey, you're going to be here, you do this, you did this wrong. They call you out. It's just going to streamline that time gap, and it's going to make you a more efficient person. So appreciate those trusted sources and seek that feedback. And so as we finish off here, gentlemen, let's face it, you know, many of our shortcomings and the things that we've done wrong come from our egos. I've fallen prey to that, you know, not often because I try to look after, you know, my fellow man or someone, you know, pay attention to the more important things than myself. So, but, you know, if you have a problem, you're prideful or your ego, you walk around thinking like you got it all figured out, you know, that's an issue you got to work on. Because that's going to allow you to just easily dismiss or not even recognize the mistakes that you make. And again, none of us are perfect. And if you're sitting at home, be like, nah, I'm good to go. My family this, I do that. Man, great on you. You know what? Keep doing what you do. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm here to put information out in efforts to help people, men that need it, young men, that are suffering in silence. It could be, in your early 20s, teens. I don't know. But if you're listening to this podcast, I can guarantee you two things. I'm here to help, and I don't cuss. Outside of that, we do get passionate, we do get candid. So that's the information I want to provide, is to help you young men, help you grown men. If you're older than me, fine. I don't care. I'm not here to say that I have it all figured out. I told you, I'm working at this myself. I still read books. I still pay for coaching. I have mentors. There's a ton of things that I'm working on, but this information, I just can't keep to myself, because I can see it working in me, and I want to be that vessel to put the information out so it can work for you and help your families out, right? It's important that we have all four of those foundational pillars squared away. There you have it. Personal accountability involves taking responsibility for your actions, decisions, and outcomes. If you're not doing it, it's time to start, gentlemen. I promise you, these seemingly small things that we try to achieve daily, right? If you're on the road to self-mastery, it's bit by bit. Now, there may be times where you leap and you make a big advancement, but that's not common. It takes the consistent, monotonous effort to start chipping away at your old personality, right? And gaining the new one. So let's get after it, man. The year is young. We have time ahead of us. If you have goals, keep them, or the plan of action, keep it simple. You can have grandiose goals. I don't care. Have at it. But the way to achieve them is to start today. Start with the small things. Get yourself squared away. And that way you can start manifesting or organizing yourself and putting yourself in certain positions and areas where these things will come to fruition. I appreciate your time, gentlemen. Again, thank you. This is my very first podcast. I apologize for not having my podcast area set up, but that's to come. My promise to myself and to you was that I'm going to put out a video every week, every Tuesday, and this is the very first one of them. So again, I hope that information helped. And if any of it did, please come back, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, give me a 5-star review on iTunes. I'm trying to build this community out to help and get this information to as many men, young, middle, old, as possible. We all need to work on ourselves in some way or another. And I honestly believe that this is a wonderful tool that we have right here, this conversation, in order to achieve those goals. So, men, remember, complaining changes nothing. Embrace the pain, pay the price, and build out your framework.